somewhere else, but this is where we found ourselves. Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
Welcome to a special edition of the Local Show here, guys. I'm Erik Skarvan, your host. So excited, so honored. I've known this gentleman for a while and been thinking about him for a guest of the week on the Local Show. I want to welcome a criminal defense attorney, Hall of Famer, renowned national attorney, Gerry Goldstein, to the Local Show. Welcome, Gerry.
Good to see you, Erik.
Good to see you, my friend.
It's my pleasure.
And it was, I have to say, we had some really deep dive research to get ready for this show that you helped me with. And I really enjoyed my time at the cabin. And I want to thank you and Chrissy.
Well, it's always our pleasure. We believe in working hard and playing hard and spelling fun with a capital fucking F.
I love it. I love it.
That's our desire.
Well, you have such amazing hospitality, and I guess appropriate for Aspen, right? We're the home of hospitality and,
I think so.
And friendliness. And
We
you guys
are a
represent
village,
that.
we came here. We're newcomers. We got here in '85, and we brought our son, who is about to be 33 next month, and it's a very special, magical place to live and to grow up. Watching him grow up here with the friends he has, and they're all friends of ours now, was a very special time in my life. I'm about to be 80, and the joie de vivre, the life that we have here in Aspen, in the mountains, no matter what happens to our little village, and I know I share many people's views that it's going downhill, even since '85, but certainly since all the friends that we had. I wish I'd come here in the '60s and not been a stubborn, old Texan. But I'll be honest with you, that was the best. Next to marrying Christine 54 years ago, that's the best decision I've ever made.
Well, you mentioned Texas. Born and raised in San Antonio, is
Yes.
that correct?
That's great.
Can you tell us a little bit about growing up in Texas and kind of your early years in the field of law?
That seems like yesterday as you get older. But when I was younger, my dad was alive. I went to him one day and I said, "Dad, I can't remember anything before I was 10. And he said, "Don't worry, it's all going to come back to you."
Yeah.
And you do remember things vividly.
Yeah.
And I had a wonderful young life growing up in Texas. I enjoyed public high school immensely, in a class of 1,000 kids, and we still see each other, and we're still close. In fact, a bunch of them came to my son's bar mitzvah here in Aspen, and I looked out and I said, there are people I grew up with here. There are people that I've been to jail with in more than one country, which was true. But I think I was a child of the '60s. I'm an aging hippie. I got out of college in '65, and I went to law school to stay out of the draft, to keep from killing or being killed. And my mentor and patron saint next to my dad was a wonderful lawyer named Maury Maverick, who told me, he said, "Goldstein, you were sitting on your conscience." That was where it was until you got one of those cards that said, come to draft board number 7. And he said, that's when and it's true. I think we made a mistake. I think I'd like to see national service again, where everybody does it, and I think we'd all be better off.
Yeah,
and we'd answer some of the issues that we have. But, I got out of law school in '68. War was raging across the seas in Vietnam, rioting in our streets. Free speech, free love were blossoming flower-like from their underground abode. I met my wife. We had a Volkswagen bus. Had taken the seats out, put a Persian carpet with little pillows, big peace symbol on the back of it, Ramsey Clark for president, bumper sticker. We got run out of more towns. But Maury Maverick was a real guiding light for me. First thing out of law school, he sent me to help Bill Kunstler with the appeal in the Seventh Circuit of all the lawyers that had been held in contempt by Judge Hoffman during the Chicago 7 trial. And what a wonderful experience for a young lawyer to start his practice that way. I mentioned to you that Maury told me this is my early legal career, 68, and he said, Gerry, practicing criminal law is a lot like the old hen in the hen yard. Peck, 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 peck everywhere. Every 100 pecks she gets a kernel of corn. The rest of the time, it's a beak full of shit. And there's some truth to that. And yet that kernel of corn, those few cases that you win, make it wallowing in that shit day in and day out, 24/7, 365 are worth it when you get those.
Yeah.
Our offices in San Antonio, we've got every case we've won, the publicity all over the walls, and a wonderful, very well-known, very successful, brilliant lawyer by the name of Michael Tiger, who I taught with at UT Law School, came into our office one time and said, Goldstein, this is really impressive. But if you put up every article about all the cases you lost, you'd need 3 or 4 more buildings. And it's true. I think you have to be a little bit you have to be sadistic, maybe have a twinkle of anarchism, and want to fight with the government, with the state, day in and day out. But I think that's what the children of the 60s were doing. That's how I cut my eye teeth. And if you're honest, if you're right, truth will out. And I do think that I was a very lucky young man to be able to do that.
And in those early years, one of your more well-known cases, if people want to research, kind of back on your long, illustrious, over 50-year career now, was working for NORML, and is it Keith
Stroup.
Keith Stroup, who was running NORML at the time.
He started in 1970, and I became, for life, the chair of the legal committee, the legal director for NORML. So I met Hunter Thompson. We were on the board. And Keith is still a very close friend. Actually, in 1970, there were 13 individuals serving life imprisonment without parole for one marijuana cigarette, for one joint. And the Playboy Foundation, who was very fundamental in funding NORML, paid for us to represent a kid named Tom Mistro. There was an article about it in Successive. I can't say that was the first thing I looked at when I opened my Playboy, but it was there. And he was serving life without parole. Under Texas law, we had a habitual statute, which was called by the inmates the bitch. And if you got 3 felonies, the third one, you got life. There wasn't even a sentencing phase. And the vending machine lobby was very strong in Texas at the time. And his 3 felonies, one was he broke into a parking meter, which qualified under Texas law as a vending machine. Second one was a Coke machine. And the third one was one marijuana cigarette. And so it was cases like that where even in Texas, even a little kid driving a Volkswagen bus with all that paraphernalia, they knew we were right.
Yeah.
And it met that definition that Maury told me, be honest. But if the law is wrong, don't be afraid to say so.
Right.
When they say that's not the law, Goldstein, well, it should be.
So when you look back, Gerry, would that be one of the highlights in your legal career, that particular case, or is there any other cases like you presented in front of the Supreme Court 5 times. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Were some of those cases, when you look back,
They were all
like
fun.
highlights?
They were all fun. They were usually, one of them, well, it was 5 different cases. One case we went to Supreme Court twice.
Okay.
On Deep Throat, where the DA in my hometown had decided that it wasn't enough just to try it as a Class B misdemeanor. He decided he wanted to make it a felony. He was running for re-election.
Oh.
And so he said the use of the 60mm projector, believe it or not, those old porn films were on 16, not 35, but 16, was the use of a criminal instrument. And so he tried it as a felony. And we went, in those days, when you challenged a action or a statute constitutionally, you got a 3-judge federal panel. And I still remember the little shit prosecutor that was the chief judge, a wonderful judge, federal judge from Houston, was the head of the panel. And he looked down at this prosecutor, young prosecutor, and he said, well, under that standard, if I wrote a dirty word with this pencil, you're telling me I commit a felony? Yes, sir. And he threw the pencil. The kid ducked, almost hit me right between the eyes. But that went to the Supreme Court, and right about that time, the Congress, U.S. Congress, passed the Civil Rights Attorneys' Fees Awards Act, Section 1988 of the Civil Rights Statute. And so we turned around and sued them, and we got a substantial fee, which I then gave to the ACLU, set up a free speech unit named after the editor of a newspaper that was constantly on our back about it.
Okay.
Making fun of us. And that really pissed him off. But the second Supreme Court case was over my attorney's fees because the county refused to pay them. And I still remember being in the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in New Orleans, and Judge Goldberg looked down at the Attorney General of Texas and said, what if we just go and seize the Capitol in Austin? And he said, we can't do that, sir. He said, well, how do you think this little kid's going to get paid? And so we won that too. And I've had, I think, if I had to give somebody advice on not to make money necessarily, probably you lose money at it, but to be a success and to reward yourself and to make it, you've got to be willing to stand up.
Yeah.
You got to be willing to stand up in courtrooms. You got to be willing to stand up in bar rooms or in classrooms or places like this. And you've got to be willing to stand up and speak out against injustice whenever and wherever it rears its ugly head. And if you do that consistently, you're going to piss off some people and you're going to lose some clients and money and respect. But in the long run, the truth will out. You're going to find that you can look back with pride. And I've had some absolute wonderful times in my life. And I can thank my mentors, but the practice of law has been really good to me. Look, I mean, now I'm almost 80. I get to ski 100 days a year. I'm still working, and I've got a wonderful office of really 8 lawyers now who spend most of their time trying to keep me from screwing things up and try to make me look good. And I have a lifestyle that I'll admit there were hard times and I had to work hard.
Yeah.
But, my wife and I in 1969 moved into a little one-room house, paid $110, I think, a month. I was making $10,000 a year in my father's firm, allowing me to do all this stuff. And I was paying for my wife's tuition, which was $4,000, which meant we had to live on $6,000. And those were some of the best times. And we had as much fun as we do now. I have to admit, I don't like money. I don't like having money. I don't like saving money. But I love spending money.
Yeah.
So I'm still working. Planning was never my long suit.
Right. Well, there's some things in there that are really powerful. I think the fun thing, like you say, a capital F, I wouldn't actually associate appearing before the Supreme Court as fun or any of these kind of some pretty intense legal battles, but that's a theme, it seems like. Also using money as kind of more of a pragmatic tool to do, different things you want to do in your life. It's not like, I want to make more money. It wasn't just money focused.
I don't know anybody that, Eric, that makes a lot of money that's happy because of it.
Yeah.
It usually creates more problems than it solves. And you never have as much as somebody else.
Right.
I mean, I don't care how much you make. There's always somebody making it.
Right.
But you can have more fun than everybody else.
Right.
And sometimes it costs a little money. But that ain't the big factor. The fun factor is what you get out of what you're doing. And I'll tell you, living in this village since 1985, I said we were newcomers, has it's given me a new spring in my life. You mentioned, Klaus Obermeyer. Look at him at his age. And part of it comes from living in this, Hunter Thompson used to call it Magic Valley. It is a Magic Valley. Yeah. My son still, we drive out in the Alpenglobe at sunset, and you look up at Independence Pass, and you look down, and he and all his friends, they get the idea that we live in a very, very special place.
Yeah, they appreciate it. There's a deep appreciation.
And whatever you don't like about what's going on in town, all you have to do, the mountain doesn't change.
Yeah.
They can put whatever club they want or whatever else they want on that mountain, but it's still challenging and still fun. And all they need to do is tilt the board a little bit, and you'll find something that makes your balls hit your Adam's apple and, scare you silly.
The Highland Bowl does it pretty well for me.
And by the way,
you love Aspen Mountain. That's like your home mountain.
It's a 10-minute walk. But because of Aspen Magazine, I got to write the article that opened in 95. It was 10 years after they closed it in 85, after the big slide that killed the 3 patrollers.
Yeah.
And I got to go up there, and there were, big mountain goats, with the ram standing there, with all the ewes back behind it, challenging you as you are, because nobody had been in there. Well, not many people. Over that time, Mac Young became my hero. I got to ski back there with Chris Davenport doing 5 fingers, and I think Dick Jackson. We had, and you spent a lot of time in the backcountry. You spent a lot of time off piste, and it's such an inspiration.
It is.
And nothing we can do. Might push it a little further out. We might lose a little space that we had before.
Yeah.
But you can't change that wonderful epiphany that you get when you're coming downhill. And I regret the fact that I deprived my wife for 22 years of our marriage of this very special sport and place. So I can thank her for getting me here.
A lot of people have said it in the past that, I didn't get to Aspen, early enough, but I'm here now, and that's what matters. And the other thing about that, Gerry, is there's many kinds of richness and wealth and fortune, right? Doesn't need to be associated with money. And, you've represented that, the fun and the zest and the inclusiveness, which we're going to talk about after our break. I also want to talk a little bit more about Hunter, because you mentioned HST, the good doctor, so we're going to talk about him as well. We're going to take our only break of the show, rehydrate for some heavy conversation, Gerry. And I do want to thank our winter underwriters for making shows like this happen each week. We've got the Aspen Square, the City of Aspen, Klug Properties, Haiti Children, Red Brick Center for the Arts, Picken County Solid Waste Center, White River Overland, and Sundog Athletics, near and dear to my heart. We'll go to our only break of the show, guys. We'll be back in 2 minutes with Gerry Goldstein. Don't go away.
shop, and save. The Mother Lode Mercantile, now open at the Pickens County Landfill.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
White River Overland in Aspen specializes in camper van upfitting, catering to mountain dwellers and outdoor enthusiasts. WRO's builds are purpose-driven to facilitate and enhance skiing, cycling, camping, climbing, and river adventures. More information at whiteriveroverland.com. Providing exceptional service for over 50 years, Aspen Square features studio and larger condominiums for nightly rental with an ideal downtown Aspen location. They offer fully equipped kitchens, wood-burning fireplaces, and private balconies with full hotel-style services and gracious hospitality. Aspen Square is proud to support the local show. The Red Brick Center for the Arts is Aspen's hub for creative activity, offering youth and adult art classes, community rooms for rent, artist studios, nonprofit offices, lectures, events, and rotating exhibitions with artwork for sale. Come by to connect and be inspired. Learn more at redbrickaspen.com. Sundog Athletics, Aspen's adventure sports school and snowshoeing specialist since 1996, is your opportunity to experience private, all-inclusive snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and fat biking instructional adventures that will immediately improve your safety, performance, and enjoyment. Like Sundog Athletics on Facebook for fresh updates or explore sundogathletics.com.
Support for the local show comes from the City of Aspen. The Castle Creek Bridge is nearing the end of its lifespan, and the city is proposing an entirely new bridge as a safe and resilient solution. You can learn more about the bridge construction, transportation options, and in-person and online public events at castlecreekbridge.com.
Welcome to the local show. People you work with, people you know.
We're back here on the local show with Gerry Goldstein. It's about time, and actually, I'm gonna switch it up on you a little bit, Gerry. I want to keep you on your toes. Will we see the return now that we're post-COVID of the Ski Tuners Ball? That's my surprise question of the show.
I can tell you that after 30 years, my bride of 54, Christine, has banished the. For those people that don't know, and I think it's part of the Aspen community village spirit. For 30 years, the Saturday before, the Saturday that ski season started, we had at our house, beginning before we even added the, log cabin to the original mining shack. We felt that those people that stayed up all night getting our skis in shape deserved something with all the parties that we had in this community for all the other folks.
Right.
So we had the Ski Tuners Ball, and my wife's correct. I invited everybody in town, and we made some fast friends, and it was about sharing something. True, we own our house, but I'm a firm believer that this planet and all of our homes, whether they're recent or mining cabins or what, they were here before we got here. They're going to be here after we leave. The nomadic peoples of this earth probably have a better relationship with the planet and with all of the people and animals on it. Yeah, that's a very special animal you've got.
I've got my little dog Luna, if the viewers can't see.
She's enjoying this so much. We put her to sleep in 5 seconds like that.
She's a good girl now.
She is a good girl.
Good co-host, Luna.
But I think the idea of opening your place to people was it gave us the experience of sharing this wonderful Magic Valley, as Hunter used to call it, with the people that live here and work here. And they're the people that I still enjoy the most. And we're rewarded every day by somebody that says, "Oh, I remember you." And they were special times.
I remember the bongo, the little playing of the bongo at the Ski Tuners Ball.
Yeah,
maracas
and the
were
maracas,
happening.
and we would get. But by the way, I think my wife will correct me, but I think we went through almost 40 gallons of tequila in the margarita mix alone. Not to mention
That's
the
right,
fact,
those margaritas.
and then we would finish the whole, and that meant that we got rid of all the tequila and mezcal every season, and we could start it all over again.
See, we've mentioned Hunter a couple times, and you had a special, close relationship with Hunter. It sounded like one of your closest friends. And what were a couple things that you learned from Hunter, through the years?
Well,
There's so many things, but maybe just a couple.
I
of the
think
primary.
we live in a community that's very lucky to have had so many iconic individuals, but none more so than Hunter. He was a brilliant wordsmith.
Yeah.
He could manage to put together. I still remember when they wanted to build a desalination plant or something above him, and he had these bumper stickers. There's some shit we won't eat above his house, and he had a way of communicating in simple, concise, clear language that put Gonzo on the map. I know you've had Anita here, and you talking about all the things that we all cherish in this community. Hunter stands at the top of the list of people that have added to this community in this village.
Yeah, I mean, just such an amazing. So I'm going to now read Fear and Loathing cover to cover after lazily only reading a few excerpts. Did you have fun on the show today, Gerry? We're going to have you back.
I would love to, and I will only tell you that, like Fear and Loathing, it is nice to laugh out loud at a book or a show. And Erik, I've always enjoyed watching your show, and thank you for having me. I'm very flattered.
Thank you. You've honored us with your presence.
Now do I get my fucking cookies?
Now you earn your cookies, buddy.
Thank you.
You got them.
Thank you.
I know it's always about the cookies, but
Well, no.
anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for watching this week on The Local Show.
Thank you.
Donate, shop, and save. The Mother Lode Mercantile, now open at the Pickens County Landfill.
I'm so passionate about this community. I absolutely love living here and raising my family here. It gives me a lot of pride to share this with my friends and my clients and help them achieve their dreams of owning an Aspen snowmass and enjoying this incredible lifestyle.
White River Overland in Aspen specializes in camper van upfitting, catering to mountain dwellers and outdoor enthusiasts. WRO's builds are purpose-driven to facilitate and enhance skiing, cycling, camping, climbing, and river adventures. More information at whiteriveroverland.com. Sundog Athletics, Aspen's adventure sports school and snowshoeing specialist since 1996, is your opportunity to experience private, all-inclusive snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, and fat biking instructional adventures that will immediately improve your safety, performance, and enjoyment. Like Sundog Athletics on Facebook for fresh updates, or explore sundogathletics.com.
Welcome to